You know that feeling?
Yeah.
You're in a conversation, everything's clicking, you're understanding someone speaking English just fine, and then bam, suddenly it's like, whoa, wait,
Okay.
did they just switch languages? Or, maybe you're fine with one accent, say American, but then a strong Scottish or Australian accent comes along and you're just thinking, rewind that, what was that?
Yeah, totally. That moment of just bewilderment. Your brain hits a processing wall.
Exactly. And look, in our world today, it's so globalized, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's for work or travel or just chatting with people online, communicating across cultures. It's not just nice anymore.
No, it's essential.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy, is it?
Not at all. And that's really what this deep dive is all about. We want to get into those complexities of cross-cultural communication and, more importantly, give you some actual concrete tips.
Right.
And maybe a mindset shift, too. The goal here is to help you really master listening comprehension, across all those amazing English accents out there. Think of it like leveling up your English skills.
Becoming multilingual within English itself.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's dive in and unpack this. Where do we start?
Well, maybe just quickly define what we mean by cross-cultural communication.
Good idea. So at its heart, it's basically the study of how people from different cultural backgrounds talk to each other, right? Looking at the similarities, sure, but also the differences, and how people try to communicate across, everything: age, nationality, ethnicity, gender, you name it. It's a big field.
It is. And connecting that to why it matters so much, for businesses today, it's just critical, especially if you've got diverse teams or you're working internationally.
Oh, absolutely. Misunderstandings can cost so much.
They really can. Think about projects getting derailed, relationships getting strained, all because of a communication breakdown.
Yeah.
And with, the internet and technology making the world feel smaller.
Yeah, you bump into different cultures constantly.
Right. So understanding different business practices, different ways of thinking, different communication styles, it's vital. It's really about creating that sort of common ground, a communication zone where everyone feels heard.
Okay, but even when you want to communicate well, there are these barriers, right? Things that trip you up. What are some of those common pitfalls we should be aware of?
Yeah, that's a great question because they can be subtle. One of the really big ones is ethnocentrism.
Okay, what's that exactly?
It's basically that tendency we all have kind of naturally to see other cultures only through our own cultural lens. You sort of implicitly assume your way is the normal or right way.
Like, why don't they just do it our way?
Exactly. And that leads to judging different behaviors negatively. It creates this kind of us versus them feeling. I read this example about French and American employees who kept complaining about each other.
Because they were just seeing things from their own perspective.
Precisely.
Right.
Very ethnocentrically. Then, closely related, you have stereotyping.
Right, making assumptions.
Yeah, relying on these oversimplified ideas about people just because they belong to a certain group or culture. Now, having some general knowledge about cultural differences can be useful, a starting point maybe.
But you can't assume everyone fits the mold.
Absolutely not. People are individuals, right? You can never predict exactly how someone will act just based on their nationality. There was another example, some French friends were told, British people never invite you over for dinner.
And was it true?
Well, their experience proved it totally wrong. So, stereotypes, they can really blind you.
Okay, ethnocentrism, stereotyping. What else?
Well, there are also psychological barriers. This is more about the personal struggle,
Yeah.
The difficulty in adapting your own natural style to fit a different cultural context.
Like feeling awkward or...
Yeah, for heck's sake.
Exactly. Feeling inept and lacking in authenticity, as one source put it. Imagine, say, a French manager working in the U.S. Maybe their typical style is very direct, pointing out what's wrong.
But in the U.S. context, that might really undermine the team's confidence. So the manager tries to adopt the more American style of sandwiching criticism with praise.
And it just feels unnatural to them.
Right. It creates this internal conflict. And then, of course, a huge one, nonverbal differences.
Body language, gestures.
Gestures, eye contact, personal space, all of it. Things we often do without thinking. A thumbs up means good job here, but it's offensive somewhere else.
Wow, okay. That's tricky.
It is. Too much eye contact might seem aggressive in one culture, while too little seems shifty in another. Pointing with a finger is rude in Japan, for example. They prefer using an open hand. Our sources even break these down into categories like Emblems, direct sign language like a thumbs up. Illustrators like holding up fingers for numbers. Regulators, gestures to manage the conversation like raising a hand.
Oh, yeah.
And effect manifestations showing feelings like smiling. The key is just knowing these things very wildly.
Got it. So much to be aware of.
And one more big concept here, high versus low context cultures.
Okay, I've heard of this. Low context is more direct.
Generally, yes. Low context cultures, think North America, Western Europe, tend to be direct, individualistic. Meaning is conveyed explicitly through words. Contracts need to be super specific. Trust is often built through, clear actions and stated facts.
And high context.
High context cultures often found in the Middle East, Asia, Africa rely much more on shared understanding, history, relationships. A lot is left unsaid because it's understood from the context.
So more about relationship and intuition.
Exactly. Trust and interpersonal ties are crucial. Decisions might be based more on a gut feeling built over time. These aren't just communication styles. They shape how business gets done, how relationships form, everything.
Wow, okay, that's a lot on the cultural side. But then there's the language itself, especially English. It feels like that's where things get really interesting with accent.
Oh, absolutely.
English isn't just one thing, is it? It's this huge family of accents and dialects. Why? Why so many?
Well, the secret sauce really is just how far English traveled. Through centuries of, colonization, migration, trade, English landed in all these new places.
And it mixed with local languages.
Exactly. It interacted, it blended, it evolved. So you get these natural changes in pronunciation and vocabulary, sometimes even grammar. It's not that people are getting it wrong.
Right.
It's just the language itself branching out, adapting differently, depending on where it landed and who was speaking it.
Can you give us a few examples, like the big ones?
Sure. Take American English.
Yeah.
Generally, it's rhotic. That means you pronounce the R sound pretty clearly wherever it appears, like in car or butter.
Okay, R's are strong.
Yeah. And American English often has maybe a more relaxed approach to vowel sounds, fewer distinct vowel sounds compared to some other varieties.
Okay. What about British English, like the Queen's English or RP?
Right. Received pronunciation, or RP, is often used as a standard, though fewer people actually speak pure RP now. But it's typically non-erotic, meaning the R at the end of words or before a consonant often gets dropped or softened. So car sounds more like ka.
Oh, okay.
And RP and many other British accents tend to have a wider variety of distinct vowel sounds.
Interesting. And Australian. I know that one can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, Australian English has its own unique features. Some really distinct vowel shifts, like the vowel in mate can sound closer to the vowel in might to American or British ears.
Uh-huh.
You might also hear a rising intonation at the end of statements, even when it's not a question. That can sometimes confuse listeners. Plus, Australians can sometimes speak quite quickly and run words together.
Right, which makes it harder if you're not used to it.
Exactly.
So that leads to the big question.
Yeah.
Why do some accents seem so much harder to understand than others? Even for native speakers sometimes. Just me, right?
I know, definitely not just you. It's a really common experience. And the fascinating thing is, familiarity is probably the biggest factor.
Ah, just what you're used to hearing.
Precisely. Our brains are like pattern matching machines. They get really efficient at decoding the sounds and rhythms of accents we hear all the time. But when you encounter an unfamiliar accent,
It takes more effort.
much more mental energy.
Yeah.
Your brain has to work harder to sort out the sounds, the intonation, the word connections. It slows down your comprehension. Studies have actually shown this lack of familiarity with different world Englishes is a real hurdle.
World English is like Indian English, Singaporean English.
Exactly. Accents from all over the world. Unfamiliarity leads to lower comprehension scores, and it can even make people feel stressed or, incompetent. Like the source said, you might be still trying to figure out what someone has said when the conversation has already moved on.
Yeah, that feeling of being left behind.
Right. So it's less about an accent being inherently difficult and more about whether your brain has had enough practice with its specific sound patterns.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what does this mean for you, the listener? How can you actually train your ears to handle this amazing variety? This is where we want to use some practical tools, right?
Yes, absolutely. Listening comprehension is a skill, like building a muscle. You can definitely improve it with the right kind of practice.
So what's in the toolkit?
Okay, let's break it down. We can start with some general cross-cultural skills that help overall, and then get into specific accent strategies.
Sounds good.
First off, just generally, clarity and patience are key, both when speaking and listening. When you speak, Try to organize your thoughts. Speak clearly, maybe use simpler language, avoid jargon or overly complex sentences.
And give people time to process.
Yes. Pause. Give your audience or the person you're talking to a moment to absorb what you've said. Patience is huge.
Okay, what else?
Respect and research. Always aim for politeness. And if you know you'll be interacting with people from a specific culture, doing a little homework beforehand on their communication norms, that shows real respect. It goes a long way.
Good tip.
Also, be mindful of your nonverbal cues. Remember what we said about body language. Try to be open. Avoid gestures that might seem aggressive or dismissive, like pointing fingers strongly or crossing your arms. Your body talks.
Right. Okay, those are good general points. But what about understanding fast talkers? Yeah. Native speakers in movies or just in real life sometimes speak so quickly. It feels like you know the words, but you just can't catch them.
Ah, yes, the speed issue. It's often not just speed, though.
No. What is it then? It feels like a secret code sometimes.
The secret is reductions. That's the term for how native speakers naturally squash words together, delete sounds, or change sounds when they speak at a normal pace.
Reductions, okay, like gonna for going to.
Exactly, or whatcha for what are you. Your brain is expecting the full, clearly pronounced words like you see them written down.
But that's not how people actually talk.
Not usually, no. So your brain needs specific training to recognize these common shortcuts, these reduced forms. It's bridging the gap between textbook English and real-world spoken English.
Can we break down some common ones so people know what to listen for?
Definitely. Let's look at a few categories. Greetings, for instance. How's it going? That's obviously reduced from how is it going? Or even how are you? Often the R becomes a very soft sound or just disappears into how ya.
The schwa sound.
Exactly, that little neutral sound. It pops up everywhere in reductions. The word you gets reduced all the time. What do you want becomes what you want.
Which, okay.
Where do you live? Might sound like where you live. Do you like it becomes do you like it? And the classic do you want to becomes wanna.
Wanna. Yeah, I hear that all the time.
See how those vowel sounds just collapse into that soft or Another huge category, modal verbs like should, would, could, might, followed by have.
Oh yeah, like should have gone.
Right, but you almost never hear should have pronounced fully. The vowel in have reduces to and the V sound often disappears completely, so should have becomes shoulda. Would have becomes woulda. Could have is coulda. Might have is mighta.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, mightas. Got it.
And it's interesting, sometimes people even write should've or might've because that's what the reduction sounds like, even though it's grammatically incorrect. That shows how strong the sound changes.
Wow, yeah. That explains a lot. What else?
The word obey itself reduces constantly, usually just to that schwa sound. Think kind of becomes kinder.
Kinda, sorta.
Exactly. Sort of is sorta. Out of becomes outa. Lots of is lotsa. A lot of is a lotta. And notice sometimes that tet sound changes too, often sounding more like a soft aid.
Like an outa.
Yeah. Other quick ones, don't know, often becomes dunno.
Dunno. Yeah.
Give me becomes gimme. Let me is let me. The word them often reduces just to like tell him. Him or her can sometimes reduce so much you only hear the H or even just a consonant sound attached to the previous word. And because frequently shortens to just cuz.
Okay, recognizing those, that seems absolutely crucial. It really is like cracking a code to keep up.
It makes a huge difference. Once your brain starts recognizing these patterns automatically, fast speech becomes much less intimidating.
Right. So knowing about reductions is key. What about specific strategies for tackling the accents themselves? How do you actually train your ears?
Okay, this is where active practice comes in. The absolute best way, honestly, is just consistent exposure.
Immerse yourself.
Yes. Think of it like building your accent vocabulary. You need to hear them regularly. So, step 1. Watch diverse media.
Like TV shows and news from different countries.
Exactly. Tune into news like the BBC for British, ABC Australia, NPR for American. Watch shows, you mentioned Sherlock, or The Crown for British sounds, maybe Neighbours for Australian, Friends for American, Schitt's Creek for Canadian. Pick things you enjoy.
Makes it less like homework.
Right. The more varied input you get, the more flexible your listening becomes. Listen to podcasts, too. Find shows from different English-speaking regions. BBC Radio has tons, The Guardian in the UK, ABC in Australia has shows like All in the Mind, NPR in the US has Fresh Air, The Daily, so many options.
And YouTube.
Oh, YouTube is fantastic. News clips, travel vlogs, interviews, even channels specifically teaching about accents. It's a goldmine for authentic speech.
Okay, so exposure's number 1. What about more focused practice?
Good question. You can do targeted practice, use specialized websites. Have you heard of Youglish?
I think so. Reminds you of YouTube.
Kind of. You type in a word or phrase, and it finds YouTube videos where real people say it, showing you the clip. You can filter by accent, American, British, Australian, etc. It's amazing for hearing words in natural context with different pronunciations.
Wow, like a pronunciation dictionary using real videos.
Exactly. Another great one is Forvo, where native speakers record words and phrases. And resources like BBC Learning English often provide transcripts with their audio and video, which is super helpful.
Transcripts. That leads to another idea.
Yes. Try transcription exercises. Pick a short audio clip, maybe a TED Talk. Many have transcripts you can check against, and try to write down exactly what you hear word for word.
Ooh, that sounds challenging.
It can be. Start short and slow. Use dictation apps, maybe. It forces you to listen really carefully to the sounds, the connections, the reductions.
Okay, what about subtitles? Help or hindrance?
They can be a great help, especially at first. Use subtitles as training wheels. Watch with subtitles in English initially to connect the sounds to the words. Follow along.
But don't rely on them forever.
Right. As you get more comfortable with an accent, try watching without them. Or maybe watch a scene first with subtitles, then immediately again without. Gradually wean yourself off them. It builds your listening-only skills.
Makes sense. Anything else for targeted practice?
Yeah, learn about the specific features of the accents you find difficult. We talked about rhotic R's in American English versus non-rhotic in RP, or that T flapping in American English where water sounds like water. Knowing these specific sound rules helps your brain predict and recognize them when you hear them.
So a little bit of phonetics knowledge helps?
It definitely can. And remember to focus on context, not just single words. Sometimes you won't catch every word, and that's okay. Try to get the overall meaning. Look at questions beforehand if possible, pre-read if there's text. Focus on keywords, names, numbers, key nouns, and verbs. Your brain can often fill in the gaps from the context.
Good point. Don't panic if you miss a word.
Exactly. And finally, if possible, engage in conversations. Talk to native speakers with different accents, maybe through language exchanges online or in person.
Actively listen.
Actively listen to their rhythm, their intonation, how they use words, and don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's totally fine.
We'll come back to how to ask politely. One more thing, though. Does improving your own pronunciation help with listening?
Yes, it really can. Working on your own mindful pronunciation makes you more aware of how sounds are actually produced. You start noticing subtle differences more easily. It sensitizes your ear, which positively impacts your listening comprehension.
Interesting connection. Okay, that's a fantastic toolkit. But let's be real, it can still be frustrating, right? You're trying hard, and you still don't understand.
Sure.
You feel confused, maybe even a bit discouraged. What's the mindset advice here?
Oh, absolutely. Frustration is totally normal. The key mindset shift is to accept ambiguity. Meaning, don't demand immediate 100% perfect understanding from yourself. It's okay not to catch every single word, especially at first. Language learning is messy.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Focus on the main ideas, the gist. Can you piece together the overall meaning? Often you can, even if some details are fuzzy. It's part of the process.
I like that. Accept ambiguity.
There's this German neuroscientist, Manfred Spitzer, who talks about how the brain learns. He uses this metaphor of mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn, okay.
Yeah, he says if the grass is really long, you can't expect to cut it perfectly to the right length in just one pass, right? You have to go over it multiple times.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Same with language. Don't expect perfection on the first listen. Persevere. Listen again. You'll understand more the second time, maybe even more the third. Let it seep into your mind subconsciously, as he says. Repetition helps, but don't demand instant results.
That's a great metaphor. Multiple passes, so manage your expectations.
Exactly. Demanding perfection right away just sets you up for feeling like a failure. Be kind to yourself. Remember, even native English speakers sometimes struggle with accents they're not used to.
Good reminder.
And one practical thing that can really help with motivation is to track your progress. Maybe keep a little journal. Note which accents you're working on, what shows or podcasts you're using, any breakthroughs you have, like, hey, I understood way more of that Scottish podcast today.
Yeah, seeing progress makes a huge difference.
It really does. It helps you see how far you've actually come, even when it feels slow day to day.
Okay, great mindset tips. But this raises that practical question again. What do you actually say when you're in a real conversation, face-to-face or on a call, and you genuinely can't understand someone's accent? You need to understand, but you don't want to be rude.
Crucial point. Politeness is key. And generally, it's best to avoid mentioning their accent directly.
Why is that?
Well, especially in some places, like the UK, for instance, accents can be tied up with history, class, regional identity. It can be a sensitive topic. Commenting on someone's accent, even if you mean well, can sometimes come across as judgmental or othering.
Ah, okay. Didn't think of that. So what do you say?
Focus on your listening or the communication itself, not their way of speaking. Put the blame gently on yourself or the situation.
Can you give some examples, phrases we can use?
Sure. Simple and direct is often best. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that, or I'm sorry, I don't understand. If you want to explain a bit more, you could say, I'm sorry, my listening skills still need some work. Could you repeat that a bit slower, please? Or, I'm sorry, I'm still learning English. Would you mind speaking slowly for me?
Putting it on your learning process.
Exactly. You can also ask for specific parts. Could you repeat the first part or the last part? Or even ask for simpler wording. Could you say that another way? Or could you use simpler language?
Those are really useful phrases. Polite and clear.
Yeah, and, most people are understanding. If they realize you're having trouble, especially if you signal you're a non-native speaker, they'll often naturally slow down or rephrase anyway.
So don't be afraid to ask.
Definitely not. Asking for clarity is always better than just nodding along and hoping you understood. It helps everyone in the end.
That's really practical. Thank you. So bringing this all together then, it really feels like being able to communicate across cultures, understanding all these different English accents, and it's not just a nice skill anymore, is it?
No, not at all. It's pretty much fundamental in today's world. It's a core requirement for effective connection and collaboration.
Yeah.
But the good news is by actively, listening to different voices, practicing these listening strategies we talked about, getting your head around things like reductions, and really importantly, keeping that patient, resilient mindset, you absolutely can boost your skills.
Turning barriers into bridges.
Exactly. It's about transforming those potential points of friction into opportunities for deeper understanding, richer conversations. And honestly, it's also about just appreciating the incredible diversity and beauty that every single accent brings to the English language.
That's a great way to look at it. Okay, here's a final thought for everyone listening to maybe chew on this week.
Oh, okay.
Pick one English accent, just one that you're not really familiar with. Maybe it's a specific regional one like Geordie or Scouts in the UK or Bostonian in the US.
Yeah.
Or maybe a world English you haven't heard much of, like from India or Nigeria or South Africa. Find some audio or video, a podcast, a YouTube clip, anything. And as you listen, don't just focus on understanding every word. Try to think a little bit about the history and the culture behind that accent.
Interesting angle.
Yeah, like how might the history of that place, the people who live there, the other languages spoken nearby, how might all that have shaped the way English sounds there? It turns listening practice into a kind of linguistic detective game.
I love that. A linguistic detective game.
Right. And it's a fantastic way, I think, to really deepen your appreciation for just how incredibly varied and rich this global language of ours truly is.